learn about the things that we probably don't know. Can't hurt to join us and see where this random chit-chat goes. Oh, born from the Toast Train Show.
Oh, lovely cup of tea.
Thank you. It takes about an hour just to go up the stairs.
I used to play on it as a kid all the time. I used to love going on it. I wanted one in my house, but my mum never let me. What a bitch. Am I right?
wonder why.
Tuesday, the day you actually need one, you'll be like, I don't want this.
Nah, I don't want it no more, no.
So,
No, you're right.
so Callum, for the people that have no idea who you are, we've got a little biography here. We're going to read that out. Shall I go first?
Go on.
And other genres, finding a blend is something for everyone.
Nice. He uses a loop pedal live on stage, creating all the noise of a band on his own, and his inspirations come... damn it, I've done a Rob.
Hey.
Wait.
His inspirations vary from Ed Sheeran, J. Cole to Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder.
Callum started playing guitar when he was 5, wanting to be James from Busted, and I've got a story about that. And slowly along the line, the singing came naturally.
Calum has played venues such as Fling Festival at Hyde Park and the Colchester Arts Centre to over 100 people. You can find Calum on Facebook at...
Oh, have I got to do that bit?
Go on.
Okay,
I
so,
thought that was seamless when I just gave you the
It
head.
just shows you what a month off does for your flow. So Facebook at Calum McFee Songs. That's one L in the Calum, by the way. And Instagram at Calum McFee. But we're going to put that on the screens and in the information in the comments.
I'm going to add all his links in right now.
Right, I'm done with that, so that can go over there.
See ya.
Cool. So we've kind of told people already who you are, what you're about. But what you're doing here tonight, man?
Well, I mean, with COVID, it's been rough for any musician.
Tough
I would
time.
say, I assume that. I haven't spoke to many, but I think it's been so rough, pubs closing or even closing at 10, the social distancing, it's hard. It's been really tough. Spent 2 years in Brighton, had a really rough year over the last year on a personal level, which meant that the music got neglected massively, and it got to a point where I couldn't even afford to keep the EP on Spotify, and it had, had a whole month off. And that made me realise how much I love doing this, how much I want to do it, and I'm trying to go again, basically. So that's why I'm here, and it's why I'm back on track.
You were, I know who you are because you've been in my studio to record said EP.
Yes.
Were you Braintree based always, or were you here?
Yeah. I've lived here, I think, since I was like 1, 2, and all the gigs I've pretty much exclusively played in Essex, just Chelmsford, Romford, just Braintree, of course, and only just really around Essex have I played, and I've branched out to Brighton a little bit. But
I was going to say, so what was obviously it's great to get out of a town if you don't want to be there, and obviously if you want to go and see the world. So what made you go to Brighton? What was Brighton about?
I think I spent... Like, when I was 16, I was a bill payer in my house, which was great responsibility, but there comes, that's young, I think, generally, to be the share half the bills in the house. So an opportunity arose where a couple of friends that were at university were...
Going to go and pay for their house.
Yes, basically. They were looking for people to move in with, and Brighton was a place I love to visit. It's such a great place.
Place, isn't it?
So good.
Yeah.
Something for everyone, whether you're going for a weekend or a week.
Or certainly for your gigs.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was a massive inspiration, was the music scene there was so good. So I decided that was the best place for me. I had people to live with, so it wasn't going to be financially crippling. It wasn't going to be me on my own. So I just went for it. I thought, what's the worst that can happen is that I don't like it. I cry a bit and I come home after a year, I suppose. But it was definitely an amazing experience, and I'm so glad I went. Really, it's a shame it's over, but that's life, I suppose.
So you touched on the point that whatever happened, you don't have to go into it if you don't want to. But obviously, you went there with a change in mind, and obviously, it must have opened up some musical doors and things like that. But obviously, something's gone wrong.
Yeah,
along the way.
Do you know what? I think, to be honest, I got really disheartened because I very foolishly expected gigs to fly in, to be honest.
You did the thing where the girl moves from the small town in Kentucky.
Yeah.
You went to LA and then discovered that
is literally
you
it.
didn't land the role as the next Evita.
Yeah, so I was going, I thought, within a couple of months, few pubs, I'm going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And I believed that. That's not to that like that.
You have to, to go and do it in the first place.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I believe in myself as much as I did then as I do now, but
with a little bit more wisdom behind you.
And a bit more humble as well, that it's not just going to come on a plate, you know.
So, as far as you are willing to go into it, so what went wrong?
I mean, it's for some people this might seem stupid, but to be honest, my dog died. My dog,
fuck.
I had, she was 13 or 14, 2005, so about 14 years old. And
that's good innings, man.
The best innings, and she was loved. She had the best life, you know, but as I grew up with the dog, I was 8 all the way through to last year, and I just never mentally. It done me in, and not to take this on such a take the vibe down.
No.
My dad passed away when I was 4. My dad
absolutely.
passed away when I was 4, so we got the dog not long after that, and I think that was kind of like a mental replacement. So when that went, kind of everything came. So the dog
absolutely free you.
The dog hit me, but everything else hit me as well,
Yeah.
and I think I was old enough to comprehend everything that
loss.
was going on, and it just hit me, and it just took a toll on me. I had no motivation, and you know, it just really brought me down. I left my job because I was having panic attacks and things like that, and it took me a long time to recover. I was out of a job for a year. Someone hire me, by the way, if you,
for gigs,
for gigs. And it's all about the road to recovery now. But at the same time, I wouldn't replace what I went through because
Absolutely.
So
But you
wiser
have
now.
hit the nail on the head because it is a recovery period.
Yeah.
And bereavement and grieving hits people in very, very, very different ways.
Yeah.
And I think you're exactly right to say, I was devastated about the dog, but actually that did open the gate to the bereavement that you never really got to deal with in the first place. And so, I mean, you are on top of it because you realise that is what happens. You didn't just think, my dog died. That's really, now I've lost I've lost
just
my
cork
dog.
that one up.
That's all shit. I think I'm going to start day drinking. That's a
the
big
optimistic
deal.
thing is that you've said the road to recovery, so you've already said the word. So that's obviously brought you. Is that what's brought you back, or is there a new path?
Brighton was a great. Pardon me, it's the tea.
The tea beer.
The tea beer, yeah. But the one thing I will say is, in a way, it was bad for me because I had to look after myself because, you know, I'm with 4 other people at the same stage of life for me where it's so important to try and just look after yourself, get yourself to where you need to be. You know, they're doing degrees and things like that. So I can't rely on them, and I can't expect them to just look after me all the time, if you know what I mean. So it was just coming back here was just there was a lot of things in Brighton that would take my mind away, drinking, and it was coming back here. I don't feel like I need to do that. I don't know.
You've got that pressure on yourself. No. You can go with the clean slate and say, right, actually, this is up to you, Calum. Pull your pants up. Let's do this.
Because even the nights that, you know, I didn't feel up to it, if there's a party going on downstairs, I'll get involved. Of course I will. You know, I'm young, but it was not healthy for me. It wasn't good for me. No. So it's good to be.
That's the tricky side of Brighton.
But without going, you would have never known.
If you've ever spent any time in Brighton, you will know that you can have a back and good time there. But also, if you've spent any time in Brighton, you know that you can have a back and bad time.
Fucking bad time.
And a very Australian time, by the sound.
Back and riot, and wake up in the next morning and go, oh God.
Yes, yeah, and that was most mornings at one point.
Yeah.
Which,
That's what made you realise, hang on a minute, this might not actually be healthy for me.
Yeah, literally. And coming back here as it's in some ways it's not great. You know, I'm 23. I'm living with my mum again. And love her to bits. She does everything for me, bless her. And I couldn't be so grateful enough. But it's the best thing for me right now. So I've got to just take it as it is.
And now look what's happened. Music.
I've written so many new songs, and I didn't write one for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really care.
That's
at
the
proof.
That's the proof that
you
needed it.
I'm so motivated now.
So getting back onto the music while you were in Brighton.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like emotional things aside, obviously your drive and passion and thing was to be there was still music, right? So what went wrong for you as an artist in Brighton? As in, not about the excesses and the kind of temptations and all that sort of stuff. I'm on about the actual plan that you had of like gigging and getting around some pubs and then getting into the bigger venues and all that stuff. Like, where do you think it didn't work, or what didn't you do, or what would you have done different?
I think one thing I didn't do particularly was make friends outside of my group. So like even if I played gigs with, let's say there's 4 or 5 of us playing the gig, I would speak to them after the show, but then that was it. And there would be no like
networking.
Yeah, I didn't network, I think, which is insanely important. From being in Braintree and getting all the gigs in Chelmsford and stuff, that all started with knowing someone who knew someone. He got me the gig there. Then I met the promoter, and then he played me at a couple of shows. I met other promoters that came to watch the shows. We all know how it works.
So why didn't that same format work? I know you said because you didn't speak to everyone necessarily, but you, to get on that first bill with those 5 people, you must have actually knocked on a door or put the word in. Yeah,
well, it was an open mic was the first one, and then that guy did play me another show, and I played it, and then I think things started happening, and I ignored a message. It was just one message, and I didn't ignore it as in look at it and go, oh, piss off, but I didn't respond, and then I messaged him and said, have you got any shows for me? And he never came back to me, and I think that was like, oh, shit, got to start again, and I did start again, but it just, I can only put it down to just, not broadening my horizons enough. I think I was not.
I mean, it is a hunger game. Like, no matter where you're playing, like there's always someone else who wants a gig more than you if you're not sort of 100% going for it. But you can't be blamed as well for getting sucked up into it, and not everything's going to come to you on a plate. But also you got to have that kind of ethic of going to get Brighton.
But surely, like you said, you've learnt from that.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
now you are talking to the guys, talking to the band, saying, "This is my handle. This is where I'm at. Come and see me." But
there's even things like jam nights. They're every town will have a few of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if that's your inroad in, but also like, there's so many promoters that would die to have people that are just up for doing a free gig rather than paying an act as well. Or if they're going to put more money into a main act and have more support. There's always someone else who's going to say, yeah, I'll do it for free, even though really it's not the ideal world.
Exactly, but don't forget, we've got to the point
always
now.
Be found.
We've got to the point now. We had this discussion with a guest a couple of shows back where people are offering to pay venues so they can play.
Never do that. Never do that.
And I haven't. That's mental.
Yeah.
Like the thirst for people to see live music is just increasing and increasing.
I mean, it's not unheard of even for like signed acts to pay to be on a bigger tour with a bigger thing. That's exposure, isn't it? That's logical because obviously there's a big end game in it.
That's effectively paying for advertising.
But it's no different to paying for like a magazine or something like that. But when you're just paying to play to the same, possibly not many people as the other, you know what I mean? There's a bit of a weird one. But at the end of the day, whether that's right or wrong in your mind, there's no amount of ways that are possible to get a gig. Even if you stood outside in the street and bust, that it's gigging, and it's if you got a little flyer in front of you. There's a million ways to do it. So, like, have you got this new sort of drive and plan? And like, what's your next step in your head?
So I've kind of got a plan outlined. Obviously, things change, but in my head,
like global pandemics, and stuff.
Just the little pandemics and stuff. But it's in my head. Obviously, I'm with you on the 30th.
Yep.
And the one thing I've thought about doing is singles instead of EPs, and a big